But yeah, it's been a good time here on the island. I will say that, and met a lot of great people. But once again, the government is giving me the shaft. But like I said to a lot of people here, it is what it is almost every day. That's like the motto of this place, is what I feel like. It is what it is. But that's it. We're going to do one more Dufftown episode while I'm here, and it's going to be a author by the name of Shane. Give me a quick mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
Check 1 2 3.
Mic check.
Dufftown.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. So how I structure these things is I write a little bit about who you are into ChatGPT, and it comes up with 10 interview questions and 10 talking points, and typically they end up being right around 30 minutes.
Okay.
But majority though, I'll keep it pretty free form.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just stick to that, or the first thing I'd like to mention that's not on here is you got a book.
Yes.
Would you consider it your autobiography? Or
from a standpoint, I kind of wanted to talk about what it was like visiting other countries and the associated costs along with it.
Yeah.
Got to go work in war zones.
Yeah.
Sure, you can go visit the world, but
if you got deep pockets,
that's still different. So,
exactly.
yeah.
So starting off, question number 1 is, can you tell us about your journey from being a government contractor to what led you to writing about it?
Okay. Well, the ideas first started floating around, I guess back circa 2011, and some colleagues and I were in Afghan land, and we were sitting around in the office. You know, you're doing 12-hour days, 7 days a week. You're in a little crowded office, bunched up, and there was a few of the guys talking about, yeah, when I get done with this, I'm going to write a book, and one of the guys was like, he said, yeah, I'm going to call it Deep in the Mountains of Afghanistan,
Yeah.
And I think this was after that certain incident that happened in 2011, about 6 months after I got there. This was after that, and I was kind of sitting there to myself, thinking, as they were talking about it, thinking, you know what, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I was saying, yeah, I'm gonna write a book too. That'd be a great idea. And I was thinking to myself, but you're really going to do it. And so
you're going to actually follow through.
Yeah. I only know of one other person who was in our field of work who did it, and he wrote it about, the type of work that we did and stuff, which that I didn't say that was very interesting, but for him. And so I decided to start it from around 2007, where I first left. Well, actually, it was the third time I had ever left the United States, and that was Iraq. And so I said, let's just start it from there, and then try to carry it on through to where it actually ended up at. And so I'm trying not to jump around too much, but I had been working on it. I had started working on it in earnest around probably 2018 is when I started working on it in earnest. I just started typing stuff in, and a colleague of mine that I work with in New Guinea, he was a publisher. He published a Wing Beats magazine, which is a mosquito Association of Florida,
Okay.
And he's the one that gave me the idea of how to go about it. I said,
Nice.
Sickerman, how do I get all? He's like, just start speaking it into the dictaphone and let it type itself out. And
Nice.
so that sped things up a lot.
Yeah.
Sped things up a lot.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you were mentioned a few of the countries you've been to. Iraq, is that where your first contract was, or how did you get into contracting? Let's back up to there.
Okay, this is a good one. I was doing my first love outside of being the, high school grocery store working kid.
Yeah.
Someone called me up one day, a good friend of mine, and he said, "Shane, how would you like to get a job making $30K a year running a pest control route?" And I'm like, I'm sitting there just got done with the cash register, banking about $7.50 an hour, and I'm like, I'll be right there.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So fast forward, I had done that. Fast forward about 6 or so years, and I'd started kind of burning out. I didn't realize it at the time, and I was like, man, not really making any more money. I've been kind of stagnant and stuff. So, one of the last sets of customers that I had was a retired lieutenant colonel who served in Vietnam. I will refer to him respectively as Colonel Mustard.
Okay.
Yeah, real stern and stuff. You'd be chatting and this and that, and he'd sit there and look at you and say, "I don't care." He's just kind of shut up and do your thing.
I don't care.
Yeah. So this was around 2006.
Yeah.
Around 2006, and he let me come over. He and his wife to do some odd jobs and stuff for him and make some extra cash. And so he explained to me. He said, "Well, we have these contractors, these civilians that go over there," because this is when Iraq had pretty much heated up. And he said, "I can help you get on there and get the system and put your stuff in there." And he sat there with me. Put all my stuff into the system, and started sending out applications for these jobs. What we do online now.
Okay.
He was very kind to do that for me.
Nice.
So I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And then I think, 6 months later, I get an email from Company X, okay, and say, "Hey, would you like to make X amount of money to come over there?" And it's like, danger? What danger? I didn't even think about it. I was like, so that was the recruiter. And so, I ended up over there not too much longer, a couple months later, and that's where I decided to pick up the book.
Gotcha.
About it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's from
It's
a
a
very
bit of an
young-
adventure just to get to that point.
Oh, yes.
Sounds like.
Yeah.
For sure.
And we're still on it.
Yeah. The adventure never ends,
Yeah.
right? I, not to get too far off topic, but the adventure got a lot more interesting for me today.
Okay.
My interim security clearance has been revoked.
I don't want to know how that happens.
No, nobody knows. That's the thing.
They
My
don't.
superiors,
Holy cow.
they got an email that said that it was revoked, and the only explanation they got was due process. And so, but now I need to get shipped back. I've been here a year.
Holy cow.
I'm getting shipped back to Florida now, but they are able to act as if I decided to just go back home after the year was up.
Uh-huh.
So I'll be able to, schedule the flight for Monday.
Mm-hmm.
Not like have to get off right now. It's
Wow.
They'll ship my stuff back too. So I'm gonna get my stuff on a pallet. So that's why said things have been a little hectic for me today.
You were not joking.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's a hit and run, man. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
hear
for
that.
real. I'm like, man, this is a little unexpected, but
I don't even.
it is what it is. I don't want to get too far
Yeah.
off of our topic for today, though, which is your adventure, and how you wrote about it. So, what was your motivation to share the particular experiences and from your book? And what was the combat zone that you were in? Was it a combat zone at the time of when you were there?
By the time I got to Iraq in 07, 08, our fantastic Marine Corps had just about cleaned.
Hey,
Yes. Y'all cleaned house.
Hell
Y'all just
yeah.
about cleaned house by the time I got there. Because
Nice.
When I got to Fallujah, they won't. They were not interested in playing anymore.
Yeah.
The bad dudes, the bad guys.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So.
They didn't want to play no
Yeah.
more. They
Yeah.
were done.
And thanks in advance. Yeah, because that we could continue being force multipliers, which is what I consider us as being, because
Yeah.
some of us have never been in the military before. So, but yeah, when we got to Afghan land, that was circa 2011. That's when the folks that had already been to the bad spots had been there for a while. So I was
Yeah.
the new kid.
Mhm.
So let's send him over there.
Yeah.
Let's send him to this one and that one, and don't tell him what it's like. Just let him go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember my first deployment.
Okay, so Fallujah, that's where you were?
Yeah, so Fallujah. Yeah, they had pretty much gotten done playing around. We were sitting in something I don't think I'd put in the book. Maybe I did. We were sitting on the frat. We called it the frat porch.
Okay.
And having coffee one morning, and I just remember,
Oh,
all of a sudden,
man.
and one of my colleagues just took a sip of coffee real calmly and said, "Well, I guess someone's schedule just got rearranged today." just
Yeah.
like that.
Someone's schedule's changing up a bit today.
It's like, no kidding.
Damn.
His name's Dan.
Definitely still a hot zone when you were there, is what it seems like.
Yeah.
What it sounds like, for sure. All right, so moving on to question number 4 now. How did your experiences in combat shape your perspectives on life and work?
That's an interesting question. It's not an easy one to answer. I discovered a word years ago for when we had close calls. Mine was more close than a lot of others. And I think it made me, if I remember the word correctly, it seems like it was insipid. It just vacated my emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit here and I'm saying, I'm really excited. Do
Yeah.
I look excited to you? I mean,
Yeah,
it's kind of like
That's a good way to put it, because I've been seeing some combat too, and it just makes you kind of able to disassociate.
That is the word, yes.
Yeah.
That's it. You answered the question.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's that magic word.
Yeah. It's just you can put this facade on, but it's
You become aloof. That's
Yeah.
a new word I learned recently.
aloof. That's another great word for it.
Yeah.
Number 6 is, could you share a particularly memorable or impactful moment from your time as a government contractor in any contract you've been on across the whole career as a contractor? Which particular moment doing that is most memorable to you?
Well, it may not be memorable in a necessarily good way, but taking care of the folks that are in uniform, because my great-grandfather was in World War II. He was actually on the USS North Carolina. And I tried to sign up and got through the ASVAB, and they were interviewing me. They're like, go through the questions, and like, do you have the absence of one or more kidneys? And I'm like, what? And he looks at me and he's like, you're shitting me. And I'm like, what? I said, what kind of a question is that?
Yeah.
So I ended up over there with y'all anyway, which that in itself was memorable. It was. I got there anyway, and I got to do that.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Very cool. How do you think your autobiography, or is that what you want to call it? Did we decide that? That's what you want to call it?
You can, I guess to an extent you could, couldn't you?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it is you writing about events in your life, so.
Yeah. I never thought of. Ironically, I never thought about it quite that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you think that can benefit the readers, especially those interested in understanding the realities of life, the life you lived, and people interested in going into similar zones where they're going to experience similar things? You think it'll impact them?
That is one of the few main hopes that I have with it, is that it will inspire even a younger generation to say, hey, you can go out and do this.
Yeah.
There might be, you could be a backpacker, has nothing to do with going to war zones, or you can go out there and make the uplift and all that stuff and say, geez, I'm already out here. Let's go explore the world a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to go see.
Having a good mentality about all the twists and turns that you go through.
Yeah, experiencing other cultures firsthand and not on
Yeah.
not on a flat screen in real life, in person.
I have to confess, I only got to read maybe 10, 20 pages of it, but I do, and I did want to also inform the viewers how we could get a copy of this, because since I'm leaving now, I'm going to have to order one so I can read through it.
I'm going to have to come visit you when
Yeah.
I'm swinging through the... It's on Amazon.
Okay, so it is available on Amazon.
Yeah, that pushed it through to Amazon.
And the
Not
title.
here.
The title.
All right, this guy is called From the Trenches of Wanderlust. So, quite simply, he was in the trenches and he was engaged in wanderlust when he was not.
Yeah.
So,
And they could just type that in on Amazon and
Yeah.
be able to find it.
yeah,
from
you
Shane Guin.
Yeah, Shane Guin. You should just type in. I don't know so much if it would find it by my name, but From the Trenches of Wanderlust. I type it in myself, and I would doodle it in that phone, and it'll come
Okay.
right up.
Awesome.
It deserves a professional edit, which we're working on. We'll
Nice.
put some more pictures in there. It's going to be professionally written. She'll reword it and things like that. And
Very cool.
so that'd be step 2.
You kind of already answered this next one a little bit, but let's dive into it again. What advice would you give to any individuals considering getting into the government contracting?
What advice? Be careful where you choose to go, and think about it ahead of time. Don't just necessarily let someone throw a bunch of money at you and say, "Hey, yeah, let's do that." Think it
Yeah.
over. You know, it's like someone told me earlier. You know, I said, "You know what? Like being here, for example, and it's not always about the money." And then my colleague was like, "Shane, it's always about the money." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, we'll ponder that another day.
Yeah.
If you're at a nicer spot, you know, like if you wanted to go work in the United Arab Emirates or somewhere like that, or Dubai, where it's kind of like got some civilization there."
Yeah, and where all the money is?
Well, I don't know if so much is there. I've never worked there personally, but it's civilized to an extent.
Yeah.
But as far as being a contractor, you know as well as I do, we've got places all over the planet.
Yeah.
You know, Germany, Europe.
As long as your security clearance
That word.
doesn't get revoked.
I don't know if we could restart the process. I don't know.
Everyone's saying, you know, it's for me in the security clearance thing, it's something that could be resolved tomorrow, or it's something that won't be resolved for a year. Like, it's just all up in the air right now. So, moving on to our talking points, we went over the questions and got into the title of your book for the viewers and stuff, and we'll probably address that again towards the end. But the first one is the decision to write an autobiography, the motivations and the challenges that come along with that. Challenges of deciding to share personal experiences in a public format. How did you overcome those particular challenges?
For me, the challenge, the main challenge seemed to be sitting down and doing it. And I'd had most of it done, and I'd go out on my daily life, and I'd been sitting on most of it, a good chunk of it, for I don't know, several years. And so when I got here in 2021, we had the COVID thing, so we had to quarantine. And my colleague that brought me over here, you know, I asked him, I was like, "Richard, what am I supposed to do for 7 days while I'm in quarantine?" And he looked at me and said, "Shane, finish the book." And I'm like, "Got it."
There you go. That'll do it.
That's where we sealed the rest of the zipper up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you finished it here?
Yes.
Nice.
And it got published while I was here.
Since we're talking about where you finished it, where did you start it?
I would like to, if memory serves, I would have probably started it sometime around between 2013 and 2015. Is
Okay.
when I started in earnest putting
Gotcha.
thoughts to paper.
All right. And then you said around COVID time here is where you finished it. So Yeah, I think you did mention the year. You said right around 2022, maybe?
Yeah, I had probably 70% plus finished before I even got. Well, let's say 60, a little over half finished before I got here.
Okay.
And then that time gave me time to
Nice.
sit and focus because I wasn't bothered.
Mm-hmm.
And with abundance of television channels and things.
Yeah. Exactly. Other than that.
Yeah.
The next topic here is. Oh, we already kind of went over this one. This one was combat zone experiences. Kind of went over that. Was there anything else in that realm that you wanted to bring up or share with people?
A lot of the purpose for doing this, and during and more so after, in retrospect, it's just the story. I wanted to get it off my chest.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to say, here, this is what's happened. And I
Yeah.
think it was, from me, it was almost as much of a therapeutic thing, a therapy thing, with explaining it and talking about it as it was for the purpose of sharing it.
Yeah. That makes sense. I was thinking about writing myself about my experiences in the Marine Corps. And I did actually get a lot written down, and something about writing these experiences and trying to articulate them to how someone else might read it. It's kind of, like you said, it just feels like you're getting it off your chest.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
kind of sense of relief in that, which is...
Every one of you folks have a story to tell,
Oh, yeah.
and it deserves to be heard.
So maybe one day I'll be finished with my...
Well, hey, it took several years, but it happened, so...
Maybe one day. So resilience and perseverance. What are some instances of resilience and perseverance that you think you've had to go through when you've faced adversity in your times as a contractor?
That's an interesting question, too. I'll go back to the insipid word.
Mm-hmm.
It's just kind of like it becomes built into you, and you don't think. You just do.
Yeah.
And so resilience itself doesn't really come to mind, but you become resilient.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
It definitely would appear to be resilient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling a coworker today about getting up in a 10-person tent and walking in 3 feet of snow to the ablution units to get a shower and stuff like that. That's resilience.
Oh, yeah. In and of itself.
Years and years of time.
You need to do it, but insipid. That's a word.
And I hope I got that right.
I was just gonna say, can we try to define that word right now?
Devoid of emotion.
Okay.
You're just coasting along.
Yeah.
And I guess it goes right hand in hand with what's that word you said again?
With disassociation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that word as much as I like the other word better.
Yeah, me too. I definitely like insipid. I'll probably start using that one more.
Yeah. And I hope, like I said, I hope I got the definition right. But it's basically like, I'm not feeling anything right now.
Mm-hmm.
Whether this is bad or good.
Going numb.
Numb
to the emotions.
Emotionally numb.
Numb to the surroundings. Just doing what's necessary.
There you go.
Yeah. It's got its pros and cons for sure. Feeling that way and just doing things because they need to be done, but it's better than the alternative, which is doing nothing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway. That's my opinion. How about a support system? Can you discuss the importance of a support system, both in your personal and professional life, in coping with challenges that you've been going through with any sort of government contract or the harsh environments that you've been in, or do you have a support system? I know I do. My support system is typically just goes back to my brothers and mother and Marine Corps veterans that I served with and stuff like that. I just always stay in contact with them, and they help me a lot get through any sort of challenges.
Yeah.
But what about you?
My support system is being around folks that have been over there and been in this stuff.
Yeah.
That is my support system. I feel more comfortable around them because they've been there and they've done that. They know what it's like. My family has been very supportive. I don't know what I would have ever done without them. And at the same time, most of them cannot imagine what it is that we have gone through. Mm-hmm. They've tried their best to be there for me, and they have. They really have. Care packages are worth it.
Oh, yeah. Care packages. Don't stop sending the care packages overseas.
Yeah.
They are a huge boost in morale.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but when more of you folks have shown up on, for example, this project, and like when we talk, I'm like, oh, wow. Like, for instance, one of our colleagues over at over there's, it was over in the same AO that I was in 2011, and he was shooting at them.
Yeah.
He was dropping the 500 pounds and shit, shooting at them. And when folks like that, more of those types of folks started coming around, I was more encouraged. I was much more encouraged because we had so much in common.
For sure. I could see that being a good support system for sure. I feel the same way too a bit. Let's see what else we got here. We're almost done. We're going to be wrapping it up here in a few.
Moving right along.
Yeah. I didn't get to read all these. How I do these is ChatGPT.
Okay.
I'll type in a little bit about you, and it just spits out a bunch. But I'm just going to read this next one. It says, advocacy and awareness. Discuss any advocacy work or efforts to raise awareness about the realities of working in combat zones and experiences in government contracting. It seems like it really wanted to stick to the combat zone thing.
It did.
Yeah.
Brings up government contracting.
But we don't have to talk about the combat zones anymore if you don't want. We can just...
I have no problem talking about anything.
Okay.
You bring whatever up you...
What do you think about that thing that it spit out, the advocacy and awareness?
Advocacy and awareness. Telling the story. Again, each one of you folks has a story to tell, and honestly, it'd be good to hear from a few more quote-unquote contractors and see what their experiences were like, because some of those other folks, they had their own.
Definitely. And the last one, we'll just jump right into it. It's looking forward. Can you share with us your hopes and aspirations for the future, both personally and professionally, in light of your experiences in the publication of your book?
Well, the plan was to finish the undergraduate and go back home and become a school teacher and live happily ever after.
Nice. I've pondered the school teaching myself.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of a blast, but obviously maybe in like 10 years or something. Not currently. Currently the adventure's still burning within, you know.
The adventure is still out there, brother. I'm telling you, it is, and that's part of what looking forward in the future is resilience. Keep on trucking.
That's right.
I'm not saying I'm going to be chasing any war zones anymore, because I've done my bid for king and country.
That's right.
And so I can't speak for anybody else, but Shane has. And it's as far as teaching, sure. Maybe world studies or something like that, but there would be another one coming out, because we're not, we stopped at around 2012, 2013 when we left Afghanistan, and I'm going to pick up in 2013 when we go into Papua New Guinea and see other things on the other side of the planet. That one is going to be called Papua New Guinea and the Walkabouts.
Oh, okay.
Already got it.
That's cool.
Catchy title.
I like it.
I don't have many bright ideas, but when I do, I try to.
Papua New Guinea and the Walkabouts.
Yes.
I like it.
I work with some very, very smart entomologists, some retired Navy entomologists there, and that meant a lot to me. They showed me a lot of stuff. I couldn't tell a midge from a mosquito. Full of midges. He's like, you know what mosquitoes are? I'm really not sure. He's like, they're not. They're not.
They're not.
So,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd go on one of my month on and month off, and I'd come back and say, "Where'd you go on your walkabout?"
Yeah.
One of my Air Force buddies, Josh, was like, that was his term. So I'm like, okay, yeah.
The walkabout phrase, I remember that from a movie, Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, was it on that movie?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I hadn't seen that in a while.
The scene where someone asks about his wife and why they split up, and Dundee comes back and he says, "I was on walkabout." and she wasn't there. And then the guy is like, "Well, how long was the walkabout?" And Dundee goes, "Oh, about 7-8 months."
7-8 months.
Yeah.
That's a heck of a trip.
It's one of my favorite movies, Dundee.
Hey.
Got any favorite movies?
I'm kind of a trackie.
Yeah.
Well, not kind of. It's more than
For
that.
sure.
Yeah, it's more than that.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I mean, whenever I go to work in the mornings, I'm like, I got to get to the bridge.
Yeah, that's cool. That is cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. This has been another episode of Duff Town. Don't forget to go to Amazon and search for From the Trenches of Wanderlust by S. Guin. That's how you pronounce it? Guin?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay,
C'est
awesome.
magnifique.
C'est magnifique.
Magnifique. Very fantastic.
Awesome. And this is on the Duff Law channel, brought to you by me, sponsored by my company, The Business LLC. You can go to canvasbusiness.com and buy some pictures for Canvas. So go there and buy some art. And don't forget to have a wonderful day. That's the most important thing. Shane, got anything else?
Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate you doing this.
Anytime, brother.
Really do. And that's a wrap.